I want to share a story with you guys today. Kind of a little bit of a sad story. I had honestly completely forgotten about this until it got brought up in conversation somehow when I was talking to my wife the other day. It's the story behind how I learned finger tapping on the guitar. I grew up in a pretty hardcore Christian household, right? And so obviously, naturally, my whole childhood, we went to church on Sundays. And when I was about 11 years old, the church that my grandparents were going to, a group of the people in that church got into a big disagreement. So they broke off and went and started their own church. And my grandparents was a part of that, so we went with it. And they put together a little church band. And they had this piano player later who was fucking phenomenal. This piano player was badass, dude. And they also had a drummer. And this drummer, he wasn't the greatest drummer in the world. I don't even know if it was his drums that were there at the church. I'm not sure whose drums they were. But somehow it was this dude, his name was David. And at the time, he was my age now. So he was in his mid-30s, maybe. I want to say he was about 35, 36, somewhere in there. And I just thought this dude was so cool. For some reason, I just looked up to him. I don't know why. I was a 13-year-old kid. Now, for some reason, my guitar was at the church. I don't remember what it was doing there. I don't know why I had my guitar there. I don't remember ever playing any church songs with my guitar. I don't know why my guitar was there. Anyway, though, I had my guitar. And we were at some after church thing. I don't remember exactly what we were doing. I think it was late in the evening, honestly, at some church event. Anyway, me and the dude, the drummer dude, were out there kind of hanging out and talking about music and stuff, you know. And he picks up my guitar, which was the Stratocaster that my grandpa built me. He built me a solid white Stratocaster that had a rosewood fretboard. And this dude named David picked up my guitar and started going like this. And I was like, how'd you do that? And he goes, oh, okay. You just do this. And he shows me that. He goes, I'm not really good at it, but I can do this right here. I'm like, huh? So I started practicing finger tapping. I had never even knew that was a thing. I'd never seen anybody do that. I'd never heard of that. So I was like, whoa, that's cool. And I started practicing finger tapping. And very shortly after that, he blew his head off with a shotgun. His wife had just recently left him. And we kept hearing these strange reports that we ended up later finding out were suicide attempts. Where one time, I think it was at 3 o'clock in the morning, he ran his car into a tree. Like, what were you doing out driving at 3 o'clock in the morning? And he wasn't a drinker, you know. You ran your car into a tree at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then after that, or I don't remember which one came first, but at some point he even like overdosed on something. Like took too much of something and overdosed or whatever. And it was kind of rumored and suspected that these were suicide attempts. And the last time I saw him, he picked up my guitar and showed me how to finger tap. And that was the last time I saw him, and he blew his head off with a shotgun. And that kind of fucked me up a little bit. Like, that fucked me up. I was like, what? So anyway, oddly enough, I went ahead from that point for a little brief period and took over as church drummer. Because I would sit and watch him drum. I had never touched a set of drums in my life. But I would sit every Sunday and watch him drum. And I'd be like, I could do that. I could do that. I know that I could do that. So when they said, who wants to be the drummer? I said, I'll do it. They said, you know how to drum? I said, yeah. I was lying. I'd never done it before. So I sat down and I start busting away at the drums, and they're like, oh man, we didn't know you could play. I was like, well, I've never done it before. This is my first time. They're like, what? I said, I've been sitting and watching David for the past year or so, and I've just been learning about watching him, and and I took over as church drummer. Anyway, though, that's how I learned how to finger tap. Now obviously now it's evolved into more than just doing that right there. I like to throw it in the mix of my little blues solos and whatnot. But yeah, if it wasn't for that guy, very, very, very shortly before the end of his life, I don't know if I would have learned how to finger tap. So anyway, that's the story. Just wanted to share that with you guys. All right, I'm out of here. Stay blessed.